So after understanding the very basic concept about what is environment, what is ecosystem, what is ecology, and the different types and the components of ecosystem, now let us see any particular ecosystem, how it basically functions. Okay, so observe the screen carefully and first just observe. Okay, what is this?
Grass.
Grass, correct. This is eaten by which animal is this?
Zebra.
It's a zebra. You know very well that a zebra eats grass. Okay, yes, a zebra eats grass, but of course it's not only the zebra that eats grass, and zebra doesn't eat only grass, both the ways. But for now we are considering a grass and there is a zebra which is eating it. Who eats the zebra?
Carnivorous animals.
It's this animal is the tiger which you are seeing, and you know very well it is the tiger which can feed on the zebra. You must have seen a lot of such videos and all. Animal Planet, National Geographic में बहुत अच्छे interesting real videos होते हैं which they capture on the field. Correct. So there are animals like tiger eating the zebra, catching and eating a zebra. So there are two words we use. This is the predator, this is a prey. You know these words? Correct. Then now when this grass or the zebra or the tiger, considering these examples, they are living organisms. Okay, the zebra cannot eat all the grass on the earth. Some of them will be eaten, some will remain till the end of the life. That means those grasses which are not eaten, sometime or the other, the grasses will die on its own. Similarly, the tiger is not going to eat all the zebras on the earth. There will be some zebras which will die a natural death at some point of time. And the same applies for tiger also. Now, nobody is going to eat a tiger, of course, but the tiger will die a natural death because every living organism has got its own lifespan. It can be a few minutes, like in the case of unicellular ones, to a few years also, or many years also in case of large animals, or even for some plants and all, it is thousands of years. But every organism has got its own lifespan. So when all these organisms, they die, what happens to their bodies? When a tiger dies in the wild, in a grassland, a tiger was there, it got old and it died. What happened to the body of the tiger? Will it remain as that in the nature?
No.
What will happen?
It will decay.
It will decay or decompose, what we say. And who brings about the decomposition?
Microorganisms.
There will be microorganisms. The same will be applicable for the bodies of zebra or grasses or any living organism. They are not going to remain as plastic in the environment. That means in this, you are seeing there is a chain created. Correct? So one organism is eaten by the other organism is also eaten by something else. And at the end, all organisms ultimately go back to the soil. So it's like when these microorganisms, they decompose the bodies of all the others, whatever elements were there in the bodies, they are ultimately made up of some elements. They go back to the soil. A body of a tiger will decompose, the nutrients will go back to the soil. Body of the zebra will decompose, it will go back to the soil. Plants will decompose, it will go back to the soil. Even microorganisms are going to die one day. They also don't have an indefinite lifespan. So their bodies, their cells will also decompose and the nutrients go back to the soil. And in that same soil, again, new grasses will grow. So it is like a complete chain. This kind of a chain which operates in a nature is called as the food chain. Okay, here we are considering example where human beings are not interfering. जहाँ human being आ गया वहाँ सब कुछ बदल जाता है. You know that. We are the most dangerous creature on the earth. Correct? We can change the food chain, everything we can do. तो अभी हम लोग पहले देखते हैं nature में कैसा. Okay, so here this continuous kind of a chain which operates in a nature where one organism is eaten and also eating others. उसको बोलते हैं food chain. Simple to understand. Okay, so in this example, as you can see, the food chain is having 4 different levels. Correct? The number of levels is not always 4. It can be 3 less than 4, it can be more than 4. But in any ecosystem, the first level is always the plants. Do you agree with this? Can you bring the tiger to this level and the grass to that level? Can you say that the grass is eating the zebra? Can you say that the zebra is eating the tiger? नहीं, ज़्यादा imaginable. Correct? Nature में इतना fixed है कि there are some organisms which eat only some other organisms. So zebra will always feed on plants. It's a herbivore. A tiger will always feed on other animals. It's a carnivore. Okay? So ऐसे जो levels create होते हैं nature में in the food chain, we call it as trophic levels. TROPHIC. Trophic levels. Okay? And the first trophic level, उसको हम बोलते हैं producers, where we include the green plants. Okay, all the green plants belong to the category of producers because they are the ones who use the energy of the sunlight. Okay, and they are able to prepare the food with the help of raw materials. What is the name of the process?
Photosynthesis.
It is photosynthesis. Correct. So that's the thing which the green plants do, and इसलिए उनको बोलते हैं producers. Okay, so the producers will use raw materials from the nature and produce the food which will be stored in their leaves or in the entire body. 4 main requirements for photosynthesis: sunlight, carbon dioxide, okay, water, and one more. The plants are mostly green in color. Why they are green? Today Abhiram is looking green. You will tell the answer. Why the plants are green in color?
Chlorophyll.
ये देखो, शताब्दी एक्सप्रेस में ब्रेक नहीं लगते. Okay, yes, it is chlorophyll pigment. Abhiram, you were aware about it? Abhi hi
Yes,
बोलेगी
sir.
ना. Yes, okay. They contain the pigment called chlorophyll, which is necessary for carrying out photosynthesis. तो वो photosynthesis करेंगे, food बनाएंगे, and the food which they prepare is carbohydrates. Okay, it's a very complicated reaction. Yeah, we are not going through details of that right now. But photosynthesis जब करते हैं तो the immediate product formed is glucose, which is converted into starch and stored in their bodies. Okay. Now, except producers, none of the other trophic levels can do photosynthesis, except some of the bacteria, some of the microorganisms, they can do photosynthesis. Okay, वो अलग है. But otherwise, the herbivores and carnivores cannot do photosynthesis. So when an animal like the zebra will eat the plants, will eat the producers, they are getting the energy which the producers have got. So यहाँ का energy अगले trophic level पे गया, तो उनको हम बोलते हैं primary consumers. Consumers का मतलब है which depend upon others for their nutrition. And because these are directly feeding on the producers, उनको हम बोलते हैं primary consumers. Okay, now can you tell अभी इसका producers का energy primary consumer में चला गया इनके शरीर में. So when a tiger will eat the zebra, it is receiving the energy from the zebra which was ultimately produced by the plants. तो हम लोग टाइगर को क्या बोलेंगे अभी बताओ? If this is a primary consumer, tiger is a
Secondary consumer.
secondary consumers. Got it now? Okay, and the last ones are decomposers, because they bring about the decomposition. वो भी उतना ही जरूरी. Imagine in the environment, in the nature, if all the microorganisms just vanish, no decomposers, तो क्या होगा? What will happen if there are no decomposers? All the animals and plants, when they die, their bodies will remain as it is. तो सोचो नेचर में कितना पाइल अप होते जाएगा बॉडीज का, and the nutrients won't go back to the soil. So it's like the ecosystem will be disturbed. That's why microorganisms का भी conservation जरूरी है. Every trophic level has got its own significance. Okay, now tigers. Suppose if all the tigers in the world will die, or if from this food chain, if you remove the tiger, what will happen to the population of zebra? It will increase because उसको खाने के लिए tiger नहीं है. Correct? Suppose all the zebras will die. If I remove the zebras from this chain, then the tigers will starve to death because they cannot feed on the producers. So every trophic level is important. And I don't need to ask you what will happen if all the producers are removed. तो पूरा food chain ही खत्म. Correct? So every trophic level, every organism has got its own importance. Okay, तो ये एक pyramid है, इसको energy pyramid बोलते हैं. So the base is always the primary producers, which are the green plants mostly. So using the raw materials, they will prepare the nutrients. फिर उसके बाद जाएंगे primary consumers पे. So you can see some numbers written in red. यहाँ नीचे देखो 100%, उसके आगे लिखा है 10%, 1%, like that is written. So you can see from one trophic level to the next. Okay, that means from the producers to the consumers, the amount of energy transferred is only about 10%. ये number याद रखना. There is a law which was proposed by Lindemann, जिसका 10% law करके नाम. It means from one trophic level to the other, only about 10% of the energy is transferred. Okay, it's like primary producers, the plants. जब वो photosynthesis करते, they are preparing the food. But of course, that food which they prepare has to be used by them also. Plants को भी respiration करना है, उनको भी food चाहिए. They are also using the oxygen from the nature, respiration कर रहे हैं, energy produce कर रहे हैं. So some part of the food is used by them also. And there is some amount of respiration, if you recollect, like process 1 we have discussed. During respiration, from a cell, there is also a heat energy that is given out along with chemical energy. So any organism, जब वो respiration करेंगे, तो chemical energy के साथ साथ heat loss भी होगा. So if you talk from energy point of view, from the producers, there is loss in the form of heat also. उसके बाद जो बच रहा है producers के बाद, that is available for the next trophic level. And then the same applies for this trophic level also. If zebra ने grass को खाया, but all the nutrients that the zebra received from the grass is not available to the tiger, because zebra खुद ने भी use किया है, respiration किया है, heat loss हुआ है, तो इसका भी 10% tiger को मिलता. That's why it is called as the 10% loss. So with every successive trophic level, the amount of energy which goes to the next trophic level is just about 10%. Got it now? तो उसके लिए हम लोग ये pyramid की तरह represent करते हैं, and you can see the base of the pyramid is the largest one, and जैसे जैसे ऊपर की तरफ जा रहे हैं छोटा होते जा. That represents the amount of energy becoming very less. Did you understand this point? Okay, and decomposers क्या करेंगे? सबका energy वापस soil में डालेंगे. Again the producers will continue. Okay, so let us ये देखो ये ऐसा represent. Okay, soil or the decomposers, in which the primary producers will grow all types of plants, considering a terrestrial ecosystem. Okay, then आएंगे herbivores या primary consumers, all such animals that feed upon the plants. उसके बाद होगा secondary consumers, in which the animals will feed upon the herbivores. And then there are something called top carnivores. कुछ ऐसे carnivores होते हैं जो दूसरे carnivores पे feed करते हैं. Like a frog eats an insect, but a frog is eaten by some other animal also. तो वो top carnivore या tertiary consumer. So depending upon the ecosystem, we can increase or decrease the number of levels. But basically 3 level तो fixed है. Producer, consumer, decomposer. Minimum 3 levels are there. इनके ये तीनों के बिना इकोसिस्टम बनेगा ही. Have you understood? Okay. So take a look at some examples. In all these pictures, what is the one thing which you can see common? What is the one main type of living organism which you're seeing in all these pictures? क्या दिख रहा है? Simple. You can see all plants. Correct. यहाँ पे forest है. यहाँ पर भी dense forest है with a water body. You can see the large leaves over here. This is an aquatic system, a pond. उसमें भी algae जैसा growth दिख रहा है. This is kind of a desert region, but there are plants in the desert also. So all these are different examples of producers in the ecosystem. Correct? Because wherever it lives, whether it is in a desert environment or in a very cold place, or it can be a water body, okay, or it can be any other terrestrial ecosystem, in every case, there are producers present and they carry out photosynthesis. Similarly, ये बताओ. What are the common word which you can say for all these animals? ये कौन है?
Herbivores.
These are herbivores. Correct. Herbivores का मतलब है all such animals which directly feed on the plants. इनको बोलते हैं herbivores. तो ये कौन सा एनिमल बताओ? ये कौन बैठा है इधर? Very cute animal. Yes, Harsha?
Panda.
It's a panda. एकदम टेडी बेयर जैसा लगता है ना? Right? A cute cuddly teddy bear type with black eyes. But वो चाइना जापान के फॉरेस्ट में बहुत मिलते हैं. And they feed on the young bamboo shoots. उनका बहुत favorite food है. Deer is very commonly found in most of the forests in India. You know, cows and all, they go for grazing. So they are all examples of herbivores. Okay. Similarly, यहाँ क्या दिख रहा है? Yes. What are these animals doing? Which word you are going to use for these animals?
Carnivores.
They are all carnivores, correct? So what are they having for their lunch or dinner? They are eating the flesh of other animals. Okay, they are catching other animals directly and feeding on them. So you know, snake, see how it has caught a frog or a toad. इसके videos देखो, crocodile कैसे पकड़ते हैं देखो पानी. You see the sharp teeth, the canines. You see this animal like the jackal or the wolf, मांस का टुकड़ा लेके जा रहे थे. You see the lions. The lioness will do the hunting part, and then the pride of lions will come and feed on it. There are carnivorous birds also. ये owl देखो, कैसे अपने मुंह में चूहे को पकड़ के लेके जा. So there are many examples you know very well where one animal catches other animal as its prey and directly consumes. Snakes में भी कितने examples हैं? Anaconda, you know. वो तो पूरा animal ऐसे ही निकल लेते हैं. Even a big animal, right? So there are many examples of carnivores. Next, अब बताओ यहाँ क्या दिख रहा है? Which animal is this? कौन सा जानवर है ये?
Bear.
It's a bear.
Yeah.
Correct. So in the first picture above, what you can see the bear is doing? What is it eating?
Fish.
Fish. In the second picture, what it is eating?
Grass.
grass and the flowers. So that means sometimes some animals, they can eat directly the animal matter as well as the plant matter both, depending upon the availability. That means it is a herbivore as well as a carnivore. तो उसको क्या बोलेंगे?
Omnivorous.
It is omnivore. Bear is the best example. Okay. Similarly, ये क्या है? Which bird is it?
Bustard.
No. The great Indian bustard is found in the grasslands and they are herbivores. Yeah, maybe small insects वगैरह, but these are different. These birds are very, very necessary for the ecosystem. ये है vultures. Okay. What are they feeding upon? क्या खा रहे हो? See, when a carnivore will catch an animal as a prey, suppose a large animal, तो उसका मेन फ्लैश वगैरह कार्निवोर्स खा के निकल देंगे, पूरा बॉडी खत्म नहीं करेंगे. देयर विल बी सम रिमेनिंग पार्ट्स. तो जो बचा हुआ डेड एंड डिकेइंग बॉडी पार्ट्स है, उसको जो जानवर खाते हैं, दे आर नोन एज स्कैवेंजर्स. इट्स अ टाइप ऑफ अ कार्निवोर. एंड स्कैवेंजर्स में दे डोंट किल अ प्रे एंड देन ईट इट. They feed on the prey which is already killed and half eaten by some other carnivore. तो उसको बोलते हैं scavengers. Got it? तो बचे कुचे मांस के टुकड़े वगैरह जो रह जाते हैं, वो scavengers खाते हैं. Vulture is the best example for that. Okay, because scavengers भी जब खाते हैं तो it helps in the cleanup of the environment ना. Otherwise इनके nutrients वापस कैसे जाएंगे? Decomposers will take more time to decompose. So scavengers are helping the decomposers. We are looking at it from ecological point of view. Okay. Similarly, next, ये कौन कौन है? Have you seen this animal anytime? Skin पे चिपक जाता है if you walk across a forest. इसको बोलते हैं, yes, correct. It's a leech. ये खून चूसते हैं. Okay, it feeds on blood. ये तो सबको पता है, especially in this season. रात को सोने जाओ, अच्छी नींद में रहोगे, कान में आके गाना गाएगा. That's a mosquito. Do you like it? गाना नहीं भी पसंद हो तो ताली बजाना ही पड़ता है. Correct? That's a mosquito. And what does it feed on? Why does it come near ears? Is it interested in singing a song for you? Of course not. It only wants the blood. तो वो मच्छर चुभते हैं and खून चूसते हैं. ये क्या है नीचे? They are bats. Bats के भी अलग अलग टाइप होते हैं, but these are vampire bats जो खून चूसते हैं. So that means all three in common, they are feeding on blood of other animals. So when animals feed on the blood of other animals, उसको बोलते हैं sanguivores. If only blood they feed upon, तो उसको बोलते हैं sanguivores. Okay? Then, अब ये बताओ, ये कौन है?
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Correct. ये तो जानते ही हैं. We say हमारा पूर्वज था and all, but you have studied evolution, so you know that better now. Correct? And they are the most antique species on the earth. Monkeys. Correct? And who is this?
Chimpanzee or gorilla.
Yes. It seems to be like a gorilla and it's an ape, which are our closest ancestors. But all three are feeding on something common. What is that?
Fruits.
They are having fruits. ये monkey का size देखो, खाने वाले fruit का size देखो. It's a jackfruit, right? Squirrel. You must have seen in the trees around you also. बहुत अच्छे से आके कुछ ना कुछ फ्रूट नट वगैरह खाती रहती. So when animals, they are a type of herbivores, but when they especially feed on fruits and nuts, तो उसको बोलते हैं frugivores. Okay, and they are also necessary for the environment because जब भी वो fruits खाएंगे, seeds खाएंगे और इधर उधर फेंक देंगे, the plants will be able to propagate their seeds to some other place. So it's like an ecological service they are doing. Plant इसीलिए tasty fruits बनाते हैं. So that animals like these will get attracted. They will feed on the fruits. They will taste the pulp and all, and they will throw the seed somewhere. Plant को वही चाहिए. Okay, so it's like they are helping each other. Now, ये कौन है? These are. Harsha, you will answer this. Harsha ने ये word वापस use किया ही था in that first picture. They are wild mushrooms, correct. Okay, ये देखा ऐसे दिखता है ना. In this season, if you go to any natural area, you will find on the tree trunks and all इस तरह के disc-like structures आते हैं. They are bracket fungus या wood rotting fungus. अलग-अलग type के fungus है. And ये कौन है? Soil के Maggi noodles. They are, you know them. We also call them as the friends of the farmers. Which animal is it?
Earthworms.
They are earthworms, correct. So all these are ultimately helping in what? Decomposition. तो ऐसे animals को, ऐसे organisms को हम बोलते हैं detritivores. Detritivores मतलब they feed on dead and decaying matter and bring about decomposition. So dead and decaying matter जो होता है उसको बोलते हैं detritus. इसलिए उनको खाने वाले को बोलते हैं detritivores. So understood the meaning of all these words with examples? Okay.
Yes.
So in an ecosystem, all of them are important, and they belong to some or the other trophic level. Okay. Now, let's go ahead to the next part. Food chain हमने देखा, where we have seen different trophic levels with one example. Okay. But you know very well, in the nature, it cannot be only grass or only zebra or only tiger. Many animals and many plants are living together. If a zebra is not getting grass, it will feed on some other plant. And there are, like zebras, there are many other herbivores which are feeding on grass. Many other predators which can feed on zebra or any other herbivore. So it's like a many food chains which are interlinked. ऐसे food chains के interlink या network like formation को बोलते हैं food web. So if you see a food web in the nature, so a grass or small plant is eaten by rabbit as well as a grasshopper as well as any other rodent. A tree is also a producer. उसमें भी birds रहते हैं. Okay, they also feed on that. A tree leaves and the fruits are eaten by this animal like deer. Some animals are eaten by carnivores like this jackal. Okay, birds can catch small herbivores. So ऐसे करके you can see the arrow marks. It's like a proper, completely complicated chain with this form. Do you understand this? And out of all of them, when any animal or any plant will die, there are decomposers to act upon them. So it's forming, it's like many food chains acting together simultaneously. Okay, तब उसको बोलते हैं food web. Web का मतलब क्या है? जैसे spider web होते हैं, network like. So you can see a web like formation over here. Okay, so ये food web हो गया. Similarly, there can be a food web even in the soil. Okay, where there are producers, organic matter are present. So there can be animals like nematodes, there can be fungi, there can be bacteria, there can be protozoa, some small insects, some large insects, some other animals, and ultimately birds. तो earthworm वगैरह देखेंगे तो birds भी खाते हैं उसको. correct? So they are also forming a completely interlinked food chains. That is also a food web. So you will find food chain as well as food web in any of the ecosystems, but they continuously keep operating. The food chain, food web don't stop, and that keeps the environment going. But till now, we have seen in all of them, human beings have not come into picture, correct? But जब human beings आ जाएंगे picture में, तो कहानी पूरा बदल जाएगी. कि अभी तक हमने देखा कि how the environment is there natural, okay? But how can the environment get affected? There are different ways. There can be natural factors that can affect the environment, okay? Or there can be man-made. Majority to man-made factors है, because of which environment is getting affected. Natural में क्या आएगा? ये क्या है बताओ? The first one.
Earthquake,
अच्छा ना, earthquake. And this one.
forest
Volcano
fire,
eruption.
So here there is no direct connection of all this with man at least. No man can go and ignite a volcano कि चलो erupt हो जाए. Man cannot bring about an earthquake also. ये completely natural phenomenon. So because of which environment damage हो सकते हैं, correct? But these are very small factors due to which environment can get affected. But man-made में देखो कितने सारे factors हैं. You can see the first one. What is it?
forest fire,
It's a forest fire. अभी last month recently US में बहुत बड़ा forest fire चल रहा था almost for a month. Are you aware about that? US में बहुत forest fire में पूरा city जल गया forest के पास. People could not live. They had to be evacuated from there. California side. Indonesia में forest fires हुए. Okay, तो इंडिया में भी नॉर्थ में हिमालयन फॉरेस्ट में से बहुत फायर लगते हैं. तो फॉरेस्ट फायर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द टाइम इज बिकॉज ऑफ मैन. वेरी रेयरली इट कैन बी ड्यू टू नेचर नेचुरल कॉजेस ऑल्सो. कि जैसे बहुत गर्मी हो गया, ड्राइनेस हो गया, तो द ड्राई ब्रांचेस दे रब अगेंस्ट ईच अदर, स्पार्क्स आर क्रिएटेड, आग लग जाती है. दैट इज नेचुरल. बट व्हेन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स डू इट, देयर कैन बी वेरियस रीजंस. यू गो टू अ फॉरेस्ट एरिया, एंजॉय योरसेल्फ ओवर देयर, सिगरेट विगरेट लगा के छोड़ दिया, फिनिश्ड. बोलते हैं ना, हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि एक चिंगारी काफी है आग लगाने के लिए. That is what is applicable over here, right? What is this one? Second one below. It is deforestation. You can see the trees are cut and you can see the logs of wood which are kept over here. तो लकड़ियों के लिए trees को काटा जाता है, forest cut कर. So you know very well कि many forests are being cut for obtaining the wood for timber. तो उससे forest area कम होते जा रहे हैं, correct? And what is this? The third one.
landslide,
The landslide. अभी recently last 2 महीनों में बहुत landslides हुए, especially हिमाचल प्रदेश in India. One after the other, there were landslides taking place. Are you aware about that? Do you read newspapers or be updated about what is happening around in the world? पढ़ते हैं? हर्षा? No. अभिरामी? नहीं. सुंदर?
थोड़ा बहुत सर.
थोड़ा बहुत. इशिका? Do you read newspapers? नहीं? Start reading. Please start reading. Headlines तो पढ़ना चाहिए, पता चलना चाहिए कि क्या चल रहा है. You cannot read each and every word, it's understandable. But take out about half an hour time every day, go through the headlines, see what is happening. Because especially with respect to the environment, every day there is some or the other article, every day. And you have to be updated. बॉम्बे के नवी मुंबई में खारगर जो एरिया है, which is a part of the city, नवी मुंबई. बट अभी देखना, आज के ही पेपर में आया आर्टिकल, वहां पर 2 जैकल्स दिखे. एंड कुछ दिन पहले वहां पर 2 ऑटर्स दिखे. दे आर आल्सो एनिमल्स, एक्वेटिक. So their presence indicates that the forest over there or the ecosystem over there is reviving, is becoming good. Okay, बॉम्बे के पवई लेक में crocodiles. This is something within our city, I'm telling. ऐसे वर्ल्ड में सोचो कितना कुछ है. So just go through that. Make a habit. अभी तुम लोग का पढ़ाई का टाइम है तो this is something you should be aware. Don't just stick to the textbook and all. That's the reason you can see जब मैं PPT वगैरह बना रहा हूँ, I'm not sticking to the textbook what is there. वो तो पढ़ना ही है. But environment जैसा topic you cannot bring to one nutshell and just do this much. इसके बारे में जितना डिस्कस करो कम. And there are a lot of things which are happening currently in the world जो हमेशा टेक्स्ट में नहीं मिलेगा. So you have to be updated with it. Getting it? So make a habit of opening a good newspaper, going through the headlines, and then whichever one you feel कि headline पढ़ने के बाद ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं इसमें कुछ पढ़ना चाहिए करके तो read that. But you should be aware what is going on. ऐसा ignorant नहीं रहना. You are in 10th standard now. This is very important, and you never know. अगर board exam proper देने को मिला, and if this kind of questions are asked based on current affairs, and if you are having that big question mark on your face, it is not advisable, right? You should know what is happening, and ultimately it is your generation who has to do something to protect the environment. So start reading, please do it. अब school नहीं जाना है, कहीं जाना नहीं है, traveling नहीं, nothing. Take out half an hour time every day, go through the newspaper. सबके घर पे आता है newspaper? Yes or no? Even if it doesn't come, you get newspaper outside. Please spend that much money and buy it. But read it. Online भी मिलता है आजकल. Go through the headlines. You should know what is happening. Is that clear? Okay. So see this. Why do we understand about all this? There is a very good proverb or a saying which was given by this person, which you all are aware about. Okay, महात्मा गांधी जी ने बोले थे, the earth is sufficient to satisfy everyone's need, but not the greed. You agree with it? कि अपने सर्वाइवल के लिए जो नीड्स है वो नेचर से मिलेगा, but if you are exploiting the nature for obtaining your luxury needs, you cannot depend upon nature. Exploit करने जाओगे तो environment हमें ही exploit करेगा, and we are in that stage right now. Yes or no? Right? So with that, we will stop here for today. There are a lot of things coming up in the lesson. We'll see one by one, and we'll continue with the topic. Okay? Hope you enjoyed the topic, everyone.
Yes.
Yes.